Hello and welcome to Photography, My Story. Today we're going to talk about my greatest discovery. And before I do that, let's go back to the story just a little bit and let's talk about how I got to my greatest discovery. Before photography, I think you remember from the first episode, I talked about how I've discovered photography to begin with, and I started with my iPhone. And but prior to that, I found I was being treated by the VA and for PTSD and brain injury and things like that. And I realized that I was missing something. And when I found photography, motorcycles were my life. And for some reason, I can't explain it. And you just have to take my word for it on this one. Some of you may get what I'm talking about. But I've tried different things, with the military and what have you for treatment. But one day I decided to buy a Harley, and I noticed that the days I wasn't feeling too good, that I could get up and ride, put my knees in the breeze, so to speak, and I felt better for some reason. So that's what I spent a lot of my spare time doing, and because it brought happiness to me. But because of the brain injury, they ended up taking my driver's license, and so that's when I found my place in that dark place that we talked about before. But then here comes photography. Photography and video stuff actually became my therapy. And I've talked about therapy being a two-way street, and it very much is, but motorcycles did it for me. Now, these cameras you see before you aren't exactly motorcycles, but for some reason, they did the trick. And I started off with, like I said before, it was a T3, a Canon T3i. This is actually a Canon T3, not the I. The difference is the T3i had a flip out screen and it had a microphone jack in it, but that camera no longer functions. But I still keep a T3 as a backup, just because these are my roots, and I love this camera, and it still takes great pictures. And matter of fact, I think this is a 24 millimeter primary lens. It's on this one right here. And but my go-to camera normally is my 90D, my Canon 90D. I love this camera too because the screen does like the old T3i used to do. This one's a little bit more advanced. It's got Wi-Fi. I can control the camera with my phone, which in some situations, that can be handy. But the main reason why I bought this camera when I did is because of the video that it is capable of. I can actually shoot in true 120 frames per second slow motion, and I wanted that feature because I wanted to be able to shoot a little bit of video here and there. And I've used this camera a lot. As a matter of fact, I have to send it off to get maintenance, to get it serviced or whatever. It's starting to have a few issues, but I love this camera. And I think on here I have the infamous Nifty 50, the 50 millimeter primary lens on this one, which I'll get to that here in a minute too. But and then I've also sometimes I've used, now this is kind of funny, but for video stuff, this is a Canon also. This was actually a donated camera. It's a Vixia HF M40, and shoots in 1080p. But it's actually a really good camera. The second video that you watched, hopefully, you'll notice that there's two shot angles, and one of those shot angles, I actually used this camera to do that from the side there a little bit. So I still use this occasionally. What I started to do is I found myself quite frequently walking the streets of downtown Montgomery, Alabama, and walking the alleyways, finding anything that I felt like was interesting, from the riverfront to the cemetery where Hank Williams is buried. It's a very large cemetery. I told you I'd talk about gear some, and I'm going to do that. And so that's what I'm going to do now, actually. My favorite lens to use, it's actually kind of humorous to me when I think about it, but it's this one right here. This is actually a, let's see, it's a Yashica. It's a Japanese lens. And I bought this, I probably bought it off of eBay a long time ago, but it's a classic lens. It's a vintage lens, and it's fully manual. You have to do it all yourself. But let me tell you something. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you can see that or not, but right around the edge of here, it's actually got a large dent in it, and I actually the lens came that way. And this is a 50 millimeter, and it's let's see, I think it's down to the focal point can be down to 1.7. So, but I love this lens, and the reason why, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it in the shot or not, but it has a gold hue to it when you look through the lens, and this look, when you see the picture, it gives it a I guess maybe, for lack of a better way to put it, a more classic style. I guess a little older, gives it the picture's a little vintage look. But this lens is extremely sharp, and it takes wonderful pictures, and it's got good bokeh, you know, the blurry background, subject in focus, blurry background. It does really well with that. And but this is one of my favorite lenses. I know it's a mind blower. My other unusual lens that I have, and this is the 44-2. This is a Russian-made lens, and it's fully manual. It's a vintage lens. I bought this one early on as well, because vintage lenses can be picked up for a very good price. They're very cheap to get, and the quality of them is really amazing. Now, the difference, this one isn't. This one's really clear. It has a very cool color tone with the pictures, but this lens, its reputation has to do with the bokeh. On a full frame camera, the bokeh can have this like swirl to it, and it's very unique. And that's what you get with vintage lenses. You can get some unique looks. So if you're into, you know, being artistic with your photographs and you want to do some things a little bit differently, I encourage you to look into vintage lenses. They're very affordable, very affordable. They look great on video. They look great, you know, with pictures that you take with them, whatever. And this here is the Canon. This is the 55 to 250 millimeter. I really like this lens too. Not only does it zoom from 55 to 250, but it also is image stabilized, autofocus, but it's ultra quiet. You can't hear it. You know, if I put this on my 90D, and I have the microphone on the camera, some other lenses, you can hear it, zzz, 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 you know, making a little buzzing noise. This one you cannot. So, you know, that's something to think about. But nevertheless, and then of course I have my film cameras here, some of my favorite film cameras. But so these are some of my tools that I use on the regular basis. I also use my iPhone a lot, especially for video. I do take photographs with my iPhone, but I still prefer to use my camera because I can manipulate some things a little bit easier that I want. I don't have to go into other kind of menus. You know, my familiarity is with the camera more so than with the iPhone with the pictures. But the quality you can get out of that is amazing as well. I don't know if you can use remote flashes with iPhones yet or not, or what have you, but I love to use remote flashes, and so that's another advantage that I have with the camera. But you know, through all of this, all these things became my therapy. Not just the picture taking, but the research into them, learning them, you know, everything of the sort. And when we talk about the discovery part, like I said, I shoot on manual mode, so I got to know lighting. I got to understand my camera a lot better. But these are not my greatest discoveries. Some of the places I walk downtown, some of the cities are amazing, but those aren't my greatest discoveries. My greatest discovery is the impact that photography has. That's the other direction of that street we talked about earlier for therapy. Now granted, I get the therapy coming out of it, but what I learned was the therapy that I can give with it, and how photography changes people's lives. I've had many clients come through and they come in mousy and, you know, head hung low, and Emery, I don't know what to do. I don't know outfits, poses, I don't know what to do. And then halfway through it, they're like, you know, Emery, I was thinking, can we do something like this, like this, and like that? And I'm like, heck yeah, let's do that. And then when it's all over with, they're like, what? It's over? I don't want it to be over. Okay. And then when I get to show them their photo, I'm like, okay, now imagine you're in a checkout line at a grocery store or something, and you're pushing your buggy up, and you get up to the line and you look up and it's the first person you see. And I show them their picture. And I said, what's the first word that pops in your mind? And they're like, oh my gosh, she's beautiful. Or, oh my gosh, he's so handsome, or whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, did you just say that you're beautiful? Did you just say that you're hot? Did you just say that you're handsome? Okay. They're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to sound conceited. And I'm like, no, that's not conceited. You're just recognizing something for what it is. Okay. If you wake up in the morning and look in that mirror, you should be able to go, dang, look out, boys, mama's looking good today. Okay. You know, I've had a few more that I woke up and go, I think I'm gonna go back to bed and try this one again. You know what I mean? That's just owning it for what it is. There's no harm in that. Okay, celebrate it. As a matter of fact, it becomes conceited is what you do with the knowledge after the fact. If you change your behavior towards people and things because of how you feel, you may be on cloud 9. But if you treat people less than, okay, that's conceited, and that I discourage. But my greatest discovery is that other direction on that street, and that's the impact that photography has on other people's lives. It's amazing when they leave, they're walking, their shoulders are back, they're walking, they're a diva on the runway, okay? And that moment is when I get paid. And that's the moment that I live for. Granted, I get something out of it as well, okay? And it's not about the money. The money's nice, but seeing how it impacted my life, and then being able to take pictures of other people and see how it impacts their life, that's where it's at. Again, my name is Emery, and this has been Photography My Story, Episode 3, My Greatest Discovery.